Please, can you give us a quick summary of your career to date?
It's not really a career, really. I think that's overstating it, really. I joined Ogilvy as a graduate trainee. I grew up in Wales, where my parents were sort of small business people. I mean, they ran a small business. Then I did classics at university, joined the Ogilvy and Mather Direct Graduate Training Scheme in 1988, and in one capacity or another have been here ever since.
Cool, and I've read somewhere that you started in the planning department.
Started actually as a graduate trainee, so that meant pretty much by default then that you would you'd start in account handling, and I was effectively the world's worst account handler. I mean, I was all right at some bits of it. I quite liked the relationship side, I quite liked the sort of strategy side, but the admin was an absolute nightmare. All that sort of invoicing, billing shite was ghastly. And I think I realised it really wasn't for me when they booked me on a time management course and I got the date wrong. I think at that point I pretty much realised this, I'm really not cut out for this. And about the same time they founded a planning department, and I joined that and worked there as a kind of information manager for about, let me do the maths, probably about 11 months, before then getting fired and then rejoining the creative department as a copywriter in roughly, I'd say, June 1990, something like that.
Okay. And then how did you work your way up from there?
I don't know, really. I possibly just by waiting for everybody else to retire or die, in part. You know, I mean, in some ways in this business, you're never actually happier than when you're a pretty senior creative person. You know, naturally, for reasons of general sort of advancement and emolument, you seek to get yourself promoted. But at some level, it's a mistake, because being something like head of copy or a group head or a reasonably senior copywriter is actually the best fun you'll have in this business. All that happens afterwards is you get more money, but actually the pleasure you gain from getting more money is actually more than counterbalanced by the amount of shit that lands on your desk.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who's looking to get into the industry today?
Yeah, I've got to snap off the pat answer to that one, which is, as to getting into the industry, I don't quite know, except to say probably get in anywhere you can. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you have a sort of purist approach, which is I will only work at these 3 agencies. I would actually get in somewhere, work hard. As for getting on, the advice I'd give would be try and be good at more than one thing. You know, if you actually try and be the best in the world at one thing, you're up against millions of other people, and statistically one of those other people will be better than you. But if you combine two completely disparate interests, you can actually be the best person in the world at combining those two things. Statistically, it's much more likely. You know, if you're the best person who understands flower arranging and table tennis, statistically you can be really good at combining those two. Now that sounds silly, but if the two have just a reasonable overlap between them, you can in fact find that all the really interesting progress that happens in science, technology and the arts now is happening in the overlap between different fields, not within specific fields themselves.
If there's someone you'd like Source to interview or a question you'd like us to ask, then put it in the comments below now. If you'd like to meet more of London's creative industry, subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button above. And don't forget to like this video below. Thanks for watching.